loosens up on its own. You know, that's usually the way things go.
Okay.
I think that by you know what he probably means on 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 the fact that your bass drum's not tight enough. He okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. It probably he probably means that the bass drum, especially in Tower of Power, because they have, see, it's a different stylistic tune, a way of playing. They play very much California, right on the beat. You know, that's how, you know, right, very strict. You know, they don't play. You know, they don't have that New York edge, and then they don't have that New Orleans laid back thing. So they're very much right down the middle. And I think that, you know, that after you learn how to play it, yeah, you really have to play it a lot, and it almost has to be practiced, for it all to be so consistent, you know. Of course, those guys grew up that way, and that's the way they played, and that's very characteristic of their style. You know what I'm saying? So
is it kind of similar to like what Stanton Moore does? Because I've seen when he's like, I guess it's like a solo, but he's like just hitting like hitting the toms in a, like, he's not playing fast or anything, but it's very, it feels like it's a building flow. Like anything could be a wrong note, but there aren't wrong notes. Like it's like riding that line or something. Is it a similar sort of thing?
I think that pretty much he's playing patterns, that he knows what he's playing. So I think, therefore, he can probably do anything he wants with it. He could play it sloppy, or he could play it real straight, or he could play it he could play it very military style sounding, or he can play it very kind of a jazz blues style kind of way, you know. I think he has capability of doing that with the lick, you know. I think he understands exactly what you're talking about, you know, and I think to get anything tight like that and precise, and we'll talk about the bass drum in a second, to get anything tight like that, I think it's a matter of doing it a lot and practicing a lot, you know, to get it really, really tight. To get it really sloppy, you have to be careful, because you really have to learn it tight first before you can properly make it sloppy, so it doesn't sound sloppy as in sloppy you can't play so well, but sloppy as in a term of playing loose, you know, which gives it a feeling. And we've talked about that feeling a lot, you know, the whole looseness part, you know, the whole, you know, David Garibaldi is probably not too much of this. You know, he's not going to be too much on that, because he wasn't schooled that way, and he doesn't play that way for sure. I met David Garibaldi, you know. And he has the perfect definition, you know, for that. Yeah, it says like drummers from New Orleans. Nobody else plays like the drummers from New Orleans. And when an interviewer asked him, well, what do you think it is about the great drummers from New Orleans that play that style? He says, well, there's something about New Orleans that's special, and it's sort of like they didn't put back in all the bolts and screws, you know. So you know, that's a pretty good definition of Garibaldi's point of view of New Orleans drumming. He really likes it, but it's almost like they're missing a few bolts and screws, you know. So which leads me to believe on some of the the looseness and the looseness and that sloppy,
Mm.
I think that also a lot of what he's a very, I would say he's very vertical player, in a sense that Garibaldi is so precise that his strokes, are very much, like up and down as opposed to around, I think, from observing him, I think that's the observation I got from observing David Garibaldi, and plus all the music has a lot of 16th notes in it, it has a lot of that in it. So actually, it needs to be played very sloppy and clean for all of that stuff to line up, to sync up. There's not a whole lot of room for making it wavy, and it would all sound sloppy if that was the case. So when it comes to Tower of Power, you're looking at an exception to the rule because they've created a style of their own, and I think the only way anybody else can stylistically impersonate, imitate that is to really do a whole lot of practicing. The practice, it all has to be very precise and up and down. So if going back to what you were talking about, if you're shedding on this tune, you might have to change your head a little bit and flip it around and say, I have to shed on this a little differently because it's a different style. You can't force it into a New Orleans style. It won't sound right. It probably wouldn't sound good. It might sound good and sloppy. I don't know. Then again, it depends on who's playing. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I think the people in Tower of Power, they all have one thing in common, and it's very precise. Very precise kind of playing together. One of their things is playing together. They actually all phrase together. They all breathe together. There's a lot of, I would say, collective input. A lot of collective sort of approach to the rhythm. In the case of the Tower of Power, the rhythm section goes beyond just the bass and the drums and the guitar. It goes, I mean, the horn players themselves have to be very rhythmically, aware.
Yeah. They're very, very, very tight, very like staccato when they do those hits, and it's it's really great. Actually, it's hard to not get overexcited and do like a massive drum fill afterwards. And I don't know how I'm supposed to be setting. So now I'm supposed to be doing fills to set up the hits and that, which is it's a learning curve, I guess. How do you could you give me some advice on like filling in to like direct the band? You know what I mean? Like doing a fill to start a phrase or hits as opposed to like ending them. Because I think that's one of the things with the cruise ships they say is important, is like signaling to the band what's going on, policing the band, as you call it, I guess.
But there's a few things you have to take into consideration. One of the things is, for sure, anything that you do to set up a lick can't be complex. You know, it shouldn't be too complex, or else it takes away from the lick that's coming up, or it can make the horn players who are about whoever's getting ready to execute this lick, it can make them think too much about the lick you're playing as opposed to be thinking about what they got coming up. So therefore, the lick you play can't be something complex that's going to distract them. It's got to be something logical and easy to follow, and more or less tells them. That's why this lick is so popular. You know. You know, that's why that's so popular. Just those two notes. Just those two notes, and then from that, the more you know it, and then you have to figure out if there's something going on in front before that lick you don't want to disturb. You know, if there's some music being played all the way up to that point, then there's really no room for a big fill. So that's where those little, you know, those kind of things come in handy. 1, 2, 3, 4. The lick that I was kicking in, kicking in was 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, bop, bop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, bop, bop, bop.
Right, okay.
I'm going to play something before that, but I'm not going to make it complicated because, first of all, the lick itself is not complicated. The lick that we're going to accent. And I don't want to play a long lick going into it, so I'm going to say. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a way to keep that somewhat in flow is if you want to keep your right hand ready to come back into the cymbal or the time. So you got to realize that when I end that fill, I end it with my left hand because my right hand will be ready. My right hand will be ready to go to either the cymbal or the sock cymbal, wherever I'm playing. So. Right, left, right, left, right. So your last lick is going to be on the left hand. So right now on the left.
Left, right, left.
So that gives you your right hand ready to go to whatever symbol you want to go to, right?
Okay.
So if you start on, and now, so you're gonna have different hands, but the bottom line is you want to you want to have that right hand ready to go back to the cymbal ride, you know, to riding on the cymbal, you know, if that's what it takes, you know. You know, so you like this. Like this.
Nah. Cool. Okay, so
Okay, so you got the idea how, you know, you kind of move it. You know, you might not always be able to get the you know, the right hand to be the last flick, but it's important to think of where you're going when you're doing that. You know, and the more you do it, the more natural it will. You know, unconsciously your brain and your muscle memory system will direct your hands in order to, you know, smoothly get that right hand out there where it needs to be when it's finished, you know.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm always thinking where my right hand's gonna go when I'm finished foolishness around the drums, you know.
Right, right.
Let me play. I'm gonna play a little bit for you. Here we go.
Mm.
So
That's beautiful, man.
now you see how a lot of times I let my snare drum on my left hand rather. I let my left hand play, you know, double strokes at the end of something so I can have some time to get my right hand where it needs to go. Sometimes I
Right.
don't have to get it over there quick, you know, which needless to say is the reason I don't play very complicated fills, you know, keeps me from getting in trouble,
Right.
you know. So that's
Well,
it's just a safe bet for me.
right. Well, your fills are very beautiful. I think, to be honest, I think that's some of the most like complex yet, you know, simple and elegant fills I've seen. You know, I mean, you're my favorite drummer. You know, you're
Thank,
like a role model to me, man. And you know, like seeing how you play and how other musicians in New Orleans play, completely changed how I look at music, revolutionized my life.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's very cool. That's real
yeah,
nice, man. That's nice.
yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the playing, I connect to the music as much as possible, and that way the music sort of pulls me along. And I don't have to I feel as though I don't have to push it. If I'm playing with good musicians, if I'm playing with good musicians, I don't have to worry about things like push and pull too much at all.
Yeah.
Hardly at all. So it's a very fortunate experience. It's a
Yeah.
very good place to be. Uh, let me walk quickly over here and grab that cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good.
Could you? Yeah, I get.
Talk to me.
Yeah, could you tell me a little bit about like riding on the snare drum with a straight militaristic, so it's tight and not too, you know what I mean? So I can get away with doing it like whilst playing Tower of Power.
I understood everything except the beginning of maybe the first sentence of what you said. So repeat the beginning of what you said.
I was saying, talking about the playing like a militaristically riding on the snare drum instead of the cymbals, like
Uh-huh.
in a militaristic straight kind of
Yeah.
like
Yes.
like that tight beat street guys get sometimes.
Yes. Uh-huh. And the difference between the way I would play it on the drum, you
Um,
more from
I,
where I'm coming. You want to see the difference? Because the difference is not much difference.
okay.
Okay. At least to me, because first of all, you got to take this into account. I'm not a military drummer. Yeah, I've really never put in a whole lot of time playing rudiments up to the level of a rudimentary drummer. I've only played him up to the level enough to get past a certain test for the man and say, okay, your 13 rudiments, so go ahead. So
So
I never did really play in any marching type other than high school band. I never did really play in any.
oh, you don't do like the brass band, like the
No,
like the second
I,
lines and that.
I've played in brass bands. I've played snare drums in brass bands, but not on a steady basis. I've only been called when a regular drummer can't or another drummer can't make it. A lot of
Oh, okay.
those don't have the same personnel. They might have the same core personnel, but everything the other guys would be just pickup guys who's available because the
Right,
gigs don't pay a lot of money. So
right,
anyway,
right. Okay.
getting back to me, I grew up playing traditional music, which was exactly the same thing as brass music, except that you're sitting down, you know,
Right,
playing.
right. That I had kind of.
And I'm playing in a drum set as opposed to a bass drum player and a snare drum player.
Right.
That would be outsider's definition of maybe a Dixieland band. What a Dixieland band is basically when a bunch of brass band players sit down and
Mm.
calm down, you know,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and play more complex tunes.
Right. Okay. I see.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
That's,
you got your folk music band, that's your brass band. Then you got
yeah.
the guys who are somewhat became a little bit more advanced in their musical stages, and they moved on to play in uh, after ragtime bands, they went on to play into ensembles like the original Dukes of Dixieland and all of that kind of stuff. You know, there was some of
Right.
the,
Okay.
not the Dukes, but there were some bands before the Jean. He had two bands, one that walked in the street and one that played, for dances and weddings and stuff like that. So,
Right. Okay.
if he got called to play a funeral, he had those boys. If he got called to play a wedding, he had those boys, and a lot of the boys were the same. They were just
Right. Okay.
sitting down playing pretty, as opposed to
Right.
dancing on the street acting crazy,
Right.
So, but I'll demonstrate. I mean, I can give you my take on in the brass band. Okay.
Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah.
Regular in the street bass drum player, snare drum player. The bass, you know what the bass drum player can play like. That's more or less what the bass drum player is going to play on that type of beat, right? The snare drum player, here's what you were talking about, the difference between the rudimentary thing and the brass band thing. Well, the brass band guy doesn't have drum lessons, so he don't know too much about rudiments. So, for him to play. He would probably play right in the center of the drum, and he would probably play alternated sticking, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left.
Like that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Whereas a brass band player is going to play not so much in the center. Play a little bit off to get more of a crunchy sound and have the snares loosened up just a little bit. They have that waviness, and then he's going to play his stick and his he's going to have all the accents going to be on one hand. So you got.
Can I ask you something, Mr. Johnny?
Yeah, it sounds good. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about your thumb position on the stick. So I noticed you're holding it loose there, and I was wondering, are there times when you grip the stick more tightly, and when's the right time to?
Yeah, I guess for different people, the right and wrong time is going to be different. I'll tell you what I do.
Okay.
Well, first of all, there's two basic grips that I think are quite common universally. And one is a French grip, in which the thumb is pretty much pointing up,
Mm.
And a lot of times on a ride cymbal, it'll be pretty much a French grip.
Mm.
Although you can play with a very German grip, which is kind of an overhanded grip. Where your hands are more like this as opposed to like this.
Mm.
Your hands are more like.
As far as you're aware, does having the thumb like here cause like arthritis problems? Because when I watch Jack Detonet play, he looks like he's in pain and he's doing super fast stuff with his in like a French grip position, but it looks like he's grimacing. So I'm worried that playing like this more, even though I'm getting good benefits from doing French grip and playing tighter, I'm worried that it's going to lead to long-term problems with repetitive strain injury. You see what I mean?
Yeah. I think that holding the stick too tight will eventually lead to problems, unless you do something to counteract it, because you're gripping it, like where I grip and I squeeze the stick when I play. Yes, I do, but I also very consciously tried to hold the sticks loose. And by that, I mean, like, and what I'll do for an exercise for that is, let me turn off these snares. What I'll do for exercise that is, I'll take like something easy, and I'm not going to try to play it well, because what I'm going to try to do is, as I play, I'm going to try to turn the sticks like that.
Oh.
You see that? I'm doing. You see the label going around and around?
Yeah.
All right, and the same thing here, turn to the out. That, So, but all right, now what I do is I take like either paradiddle, and as I'm doing that, I'm turning the stick.
That's nice, man.
At no point am I really grabbing and holding on to the stick. I might pinch it and grab it for a brief second, but I'm not holding it and pinching it all the time, even when I'm not playing it, because that for sure will down on the line is going to give you a tendonitis, just from holding the stick too tight, keeping all these muscles too tight when they don't need to be tight. So when I'm not playing, this stick is basically very loose in my hand. And the exercise that I use is not to make a good roll, but to keep the sticks turning, and then to try to let my mind drift and then come back to it and see if the sticks are still being loose and turning. So I'll tell you what. I'll take. I don't know if you can see my stick spinning. I mean,
yeah, I can.
If you can, all right. What?
Yeah, it's a bit better before. Oh, there we go.
All right. There we go. Now, what I'll do is this one's going to turn clockwise, and the left one's going to turn counterclockwise. So I'm going to go.
That's nice.
Okay. Now, what that does now, that's not the way you're going to play. What that does is it trains your mind a little bit from not holding on to the stick so desperately.
Right.
It builds up the confidence that the stick can float in your arm, in your hand, and you're basically using the fingers to direct it and pick it up. Mostly. You're using a lot of wrist and forearm to put it down, but remember, pick it up. Remember we talked about that before, picking that stick up, don't lay it down. You know, don't
Oh,
lay it down. Don't lay it
could
down.
you remind me? Just saying what, like pulling the sound out of the...
Yeah, in other words, what I'm saying is, even if I come from way up here,
Mm.
even if I come from way up here, I'm gonna hit the drum, but when I finish hitting the drum, I'm gonna end up here, like about an inch or two from the drum. So I'm not going like this. I'm not holding it in there, you know.
Right.
I'm not. You can do that for effect. That's easy to do, but you want to be able to do is you want to be able to pick that stick up. Get it. It's almost like I'm scooping the sound out of the. Almost like a little oval. Almost like not so much straight up and down at all. That's gonna give you that real military kind of sound where everything's back. But if you're talking about the way I play, it's just the opposite of rudimentary sound. A rudimental sounding person wants all the beats to sound equal. But
right.
I'm not so much concerned about the way the drum sounds. I'm kind of listening to the music and trying to float along with that, you know.
Right. Okay.
Try to get with the inflections that the music makes, not so much what drum lick or what drum thing I can do, but I rather listen to the music and see what I can do to make the drum sound like music. And one of the first things you can do is dynamics.
Right.
Which is the first thing you can do to the drums to make it sound like music. I think, you know, that and you already know about playing in 2-bar phrases and 4-bar phrases and 8-bar phrases and 12-bar phrases and 16-bar phrases. You know all about. You know that most blues, 90% of the blues you play, whether they funk blues or whether they jazz blues, they're probably going to be 12 bars. You know that. Of course, there are
funk songs.
There are 16-bar blueses and there are 8-bar blueses. You know, and there are 24 blueses, 24-bar blueses. You know, but these are all related to groups of 4. You know, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So I think that, you know, listen to a lot of primitive, old-time R&B, and it won't hurt you to listen to some old, real country music.
Really? Okay.
Is there a particular? Yes, just to hear the function of the bass notes.
Okay.
And that will improve your phrasing as a drummer. And
fantastic. Playing bass. Perfect.
And it will open up your ears to hear those major cue points that tell you when something's coming up in a song, you know, like the 2-5-1, the chord changes, you know, all of that stuff.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cue notes, cue points, cue phrases. Right. What, like they have like particular harmonic twerks and whatnot?
Well, you studied theory, right?
Yeah.
You got to get back onto your theory book. You know, and realize that you know, and realize, you know, what those very essential chords that are in probably all of our music, not all of our music, but 99.9% of our music has chord functions that at the end of a phrase say 2-5-1 or 5-1 or 4-4-5-1. Okay.
Yeah.
Now they come in all disguises. They come in complex, compound, and what I'm wanting you to do is I want you to just be able to hear them and say, okay, something's coming up, because I can tell by that 5 chord that something's coming up. Either it's the end of a phrase, or it's going to a bridge, or it's going back to the top. You know.
Right. Okay.
When I say listen, I don't mean listen to the drummer. Please don't listen to the drummer. Listen to the harmonic instruments, the guys that are playing harmonic rhythm. That would be the guitar. That would be the bass. That would be the piano, especially. You know, it'd be those instruments that play vertical chords. You know. Horns don't play vertical chords because they can only play one note at a time. Therefore, it has to be horizontal. If they play a chord, it's got to be horizontal. Da 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 da. You know, they got to arpeggiate it because they can't play it. They can't play it all at one time, right?
Right.
They play one note at a time.
Yeah.
So, but so in this case, I want you to be able to hear those changes, because that's going to tell you as a drummer, where to put the fill, what's coming up. Maybe something's coming up and you say, I'm going to trick them this time. I won't put a fill. Or maybe I just put like a crack, say you're going from ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-ba-ba-ba. All right, one more of those. Ba-da-da-da. Now I'm going to slow it down a little bit because we're going into the bridge, right? Da-da-da-da. Here comes the bridge, here it comes. Ba-ba-da-da-ba-da-da-da. Right there, I gave him a lead-in fill to the bridge, right?
Right.
Even though it was something I normally wouldn't do, I overdid it for you to understand it. I wouldn't two-handed fill. I wouldn't do that. If I would play something more like, in order not to stop that right-hand rhythm, just to keep it smooth, I would probably, unless it said fill on a paper, I would probably da 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 da. That's the end of the bridge. Da 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 da. Here comes the bridge. So I went ba-ba-da-ba-da with just one hand. And then where I could smoothly move my right hand over here for the bridge. So now, in the case of this satin doll, the first time it goes through 8 measures, it's not going to go to the bridge, but it's going to have a turnaround. So I might say something like this, in a teaser, right? Because I know it's 2 A's and then a bridge. So the form is AABA, all right? Right now, just for the sake of time and money, I'm just going to play A and B, all right? I'm play it 2 different ways for you. Here comes AAB. AAB, and in the first A, I'm not going to make a big deal going into the second A, but I'm going to do a little something, but not much. Going bridge, which would be after the second A, I'm going to do a little bit more, because that's the bridge. It's a whole nother tonality. I'm going to another symbol. It's another melody. It's a different melody. The bridge melody. Da 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 ding 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 ding. Da 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 ding ding ding. Back to A. Da 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 boom da da da. Satin doll. You know Satin doll.
Yeah, I do.
How old are you?
28, about a month ago.
Okay, that's pretty young, and just out of curiosity, my own curiosity, at my own feeble old age, everything just seems to
beautiful, man.
And it's passing me by, bro. But check this out. I want you to tell me when was it that you first heard or became aware of Satin Doll?
I think at university in England, in London.
Okay, so you were about 17 or 18.
No. I went to university quite late. I was about 22 or so. 22,
Okay,
20.
and that's where you learned Satin Doll. Do you know
I
who
think,
wrote it?
not off the top of my head. I did know, but
I don't know off the top of my head either, but I think that either Duke Ellington or Frank Foster wrote it. Okay,
okay,
I'm not sure. I'll look at my phone tonight, but now I'm curious. Who
cool.
wrote Satin Doll? Man, I've been playing that song since I'm 12 years old. So anyway, it's an AABA song, and all right. So now, what I said I was going to do, I was going to play it for you a couple of different ways.
Mm.
I'm sorry, my wife's telling me. Say that. You talking to me? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought maybe she looked up Satin Doll.
Mm.
All right.
Doing all right.
Oh, here she is. Hold on.
Hi, Deborah.
Duke Ellington and Frank Foster.
Johnny Mercer wrote the lyrics.
Johnny Mercer wrote the word. Who wrote the word? The melody? Duke. Yeah, Duke wrote the song. Duke Ellington wrote the song. Like I thought. Yeah. I would have thought Johnny Hartman might have wrote the words, but it was John. It was Mercer, right? Johnny Mercer. Yeah. Johnny Mercer and Duke Ellington were a team. You know, they wrote songs, and so was Duke Ellington and Johnny Hartman. Johnny Hartman. Now, and I'll tell you a good record you need to listen to.
Yes, please.
Two good lessons you need to look. Three good records. One is called.
Thank you.
One is called Ballads with John Coltrane by John Coltrane. It's one of his records. And another record.
It's not a bit. It's lovely. Oh yeah, sorry. Go on. Yeah.
You know the record?
Yeah, vaguely. I've heard the same thing. People said I really should check it out, and I've listened to it a bit.
Yeah, you should listen to all the instruments on the record, not just the drums, but actually more so, because then you hear why Elvin. I don't even think Elvin plays with sticks on that record. I think he just plays with brushes only. If not, there's a record that he made with his brother. His brother's name is Hank Jones. Hank Jones is a great piano player, and he made a record with his brother called what is it when you get together again? When you meet after a long time, you have a
reunion.
Thank you.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So there's a great trio record by Hank Jones. It's with Elvin Jones and George Mraz as the bass player, and in this session, Elvin doesn't play with sticks at all through the whole record. He plays with some mallets occasionally, but everything else is brushes. All right. And I'm sure his brother, who is his older brother, Hank, probably said, "Listen, Elvin, I'll get you on my session, but don't come around here with no drumsticks." You know.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Either that, or Hank went in his stick bag before the session and took his sticks.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Mess up my record session with all that noise.
Yeah, you don't think Elvin Jones would have agreed to it?
Yeah. Let me just show you this quick little idea between the sections A, B, A. But the second A is going to go to the bridge, so I'm going to treat it differently. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba da 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 da. Ba da da ba da ba ba. Ba da da ba da da ba 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 ba. Da 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 ba ya ya ba 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 ya ba ba da ba 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 ba. See, I did that. Yeah,
landing on your left hand. I see.
Yeah, so the right ready for the bridge.
Right.
That's where when you see those little double strokes like that, I played right, left, left, right, left, left.
Yeah.
You know, that's where practicing things like Radamacule, practice things like paradiddles, but those are combinations of two strokes and one stroke. They're just different combinations. You know, and personally, what I play never gets more than two strokes. After two strokes on one hand, I go to the other hand. You know, some
On
guys,
2 strokes. Okay.
after two strokes, I'm done.
Okay.
Guys can play 3 strokes on one hand. I can't do that and make it sound good. I can play doubles because I bounce. I play off bounce. I play off for bounce and rebound.
Right. Yeah.
Which is also a good book. It's also a good book to look through. I think it's called
Bounce and rebound.
Yeah, bounce and rebounds and bounce or bounces and rebounds, something like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's a good book. Bounces and rebounds or rebounds and bounces. I forget who wrote it, but it's a good book, and it teaches you all about making one stroke and bouncing, and they have all kind of things set. But you can invent your own stuff, Once you get used to holding them sticks loose in your hand, you can, and that's what that circular thing was all about. The circular thing was all about keeping that loose grip, but keeping confidence in not dropping the stick, So to create that looseness, because you don't necessarily go on a gig and start thinking about turning the sticks. That's got to come later, and when you practicing that, you only want to be conscious of it till you get it started. I recommend practicing it on a pad because you don't hear it as much, and you're not paying. You want it to become somewhat subconscious. You don't want to be consciously having to think about holding the sticks loose. You want to create a subconscious memory of that. So you don't be thinking of things like that when you
when I'm at auditions or when I'm on a gig and things like that.
When you're playing.
Right.
Yeah. And so, what do you think about any questions today before we tie it up?
Yes, yeah, thank you. Let's see, what do I have? We've gone through a good chunk of them. I'm just going to turn my light on as well, if that's all right. Okay. Yeah, one of my questions was about tuning the drums. I feel like I've managed to do okay with my snare drum. Just copying what a guy showed me. Just pressing down on the thing. So I'm just wondering about the toms, like how to tune them. Because I want to be able to get like a fat like boo sometimes, and other times get a really like dead doo, doo, doo. Do you see out of the same drums? And I'm just especially wondering about what to do with the bottom heads of the drums and I'm
gonna tell you what I do.
Yes, please. Thank you.
I definitely put on the bottom head first.
Okay.
And I don't put it tight, not too tight.
Okay.
Okay. And I put the top head, and I tune the top head to where I think I might like it. Then I hit the whole drum. If it's too, tweak up the bottom head just a little bit. Put the top head to where I like the way it feels with the stick when I hit it. And then the bottom head, I usually keep a little looser than the top head.
Okay.
Like maybe a third. The bigger the drum, maybe the bigger the interval.
Okay.
If it's like on this 14x14, let's see what it sounds like. Yeah, the bottom head is pretty much like about a fifth lower.
Okay.
And when you tap it, you're gonna hear more than one overtone. So you have to figure out which one is the dominant overtone, and even that one out. And
Okay.
I'd say the interval difference between the top head and the bottom head on my floor tom is about a fourth or a fifth.
Mm.
Uh, I've heard it on sometimes as low as an octave. The bottom head will be an octave lower. Yeah, I've had drums like that. On my mountain tom, let's see what I got. Oh yeah, that's almost a fifth or a sixth.
Right.
The bottom head is much lower than the top head.
Right. I think I was trying to get them like a quarter tone lower or something. I didn't realize there was that much of a difference in the pictures from the top and bottom head. So that's good to hear.
Well, some cats would tune their snare head.
Okay.
Quite close to the top head because they want a shorter, tighter, quicker sound. But I still don't. I still tune my bottom head on my snare drum a little bit lower, maybe a third lower. Because I like a lot of overtones and noise, and I like a lot of slop.
Nice.
If I go into a situation where it ain't working, I can quickly flip the drum upside down and turn everything a quarter of a turn, and it'll be all right.
Oh, good.
It'll be tight enough for anybody who's not listening.
Oh, that's good.
And let's see. Anything else you want to talk about? You sound, you know what you're talking about. You got all your ideas are very well organized, and your questions are very clear, and if you can send me in the mail when you're playing with somebody, send me huh? He can send me a recording of a band he's playing with.
Yeah, actually, thank you. Would it be possible to get a quote from you about? I'll send you like my girlfriend singer her her track that's coming out or something. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna give you my email that goes to my phone.
Okay.
It's Vidacovitch.
Vidacovitch.
Vidacovich.
Vidacovi. I always had a T.
Yeah, a lot of people.
It's Polish, right?
It was Yugoslavian, but they don't have a country anymore. It's
Croatian.
Really?
Croatian. Oh, right. Oh, nice.
Now it is. All right. So, what else do you need?
You're saying it's Vidacovitch and the.
Vidacovitch@gmail.com. G as in girl.
Right. Gmail.com. Fantastic.
All right.
Is it alright if I send you? I don't want to give you too much. Should I just send you the one thing?
Yeah.
Or yeah. Cool.
That'll be real good. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Send it to me. I'll listen to you. And what do you want? Like about this, a little note that says it's a fine recording, and anything else? Who should I address it to? Just to you, and you'll put it in there?
Maybe if you could just say something about Gigi Monroe's. If you say, that's when Gigi Monroe's is, the best thing since sliced bread, or whatever feels nice.
And so y'all can use it for advertisement and put it on your record and stuff.
If that's okay, yeah, please.
Yeah. So just wonder what it's for, That way I know who I'm writing for. Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Thank you, and we'll give you credits, so like a thank you.
That's good enough, bro. You giving me credit. That's good. All right, man. I mean, I hope we addressed some of your questions for today, and of course I'm here. I ain't going anywhere. So when the spirit moves, you give me a call.
Thank you. Yes, I will do. can I ask two more short questions, or should I save them for the next one?
All right, go ahead, ask. Go ahead.
Thank you. So you were saying 3 records I should buy. You said Ballads and Reunion, and then I'm
Yes.
just thinking what the third record was.
John Coltrane plays ballads.
Yes.
Ballads, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and then that'll keep you busy for a minute. That'll keep you
Okay.
busy.
Good.
And
Thank you.
that'll keep you busy for a minute, and I'll definitely have more for you. More stuff is gonna have to do with Bill Evans, and I think you should listen to that because of song form and because of phrasing. I think that I like the way you conceptualize these ideas on the drums. So we might as well go ahead and polish them since you have a nice go at it.
Right.
So go ahead and yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to ask. My last question. Thank you so much. How do you like? What do you have any tips for balancing work, art, like family life, fitness, and just kind of finding a way to have like a steady routine where I'm like meeting all my commitments, and because it's hard to know how much I should be drumming and how much I should be trying to hustle gigs and how much I should be, trying to do what my family want and so on and so forth.
Deal with your family as much as possible, because the more you deal with them, the more of the other time you'll have to be hustling those gigs and practicing and doing all of that. So you got to put family up. Just put them up number one, and see how efficiently you can run the family, and see if you can multitask. Which is
they're gonna be so. I know they're gonna be like going like this when they hear you say that. So I always go on about multitasking, and if it's all right, I'll show them this video, and I'm sure they're gonna be like, "Oh no, he's gonna be multitasking more." You know what I mean? But right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody's family is different. Like I had a real easy family, and my wife, man, she was basically the head of the family, and basically was when my daughter was growing up, she was completely, taking care of my daughter,
Really, yeah.
And I was just trying to make gigs,
Yeah.
Things were not easy during that time. It was a rough time, gig wise.
Yeah. Well, was that like for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or something?
Yeah, it was a pretty slow, dismal period. Played with a lot of blues bands, a lot of blues festivals, a lot of Bourbon Street, a lot of tourist music,
Right.
Yeah, I had to do a lot of stuff like that. And things got better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So things got better.
Good, yeah. But I assume it just takes a long time. Doesn't happen straight away. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So until next time.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank you, man. God bless you.
Take care of your family and beat on your drums.
Yes, sir. I will do. Thank you. You too. Thank you, man.
Peace out.
Peace out.